This is no ordinary tale. This is a ploy for revenge against a self-established government that I thought I could trust from day one. It all started with a world with lots of amazing personalities, with the ruler of the land being Plexiate himself. Plexiate, along with many other people, would go on to establish a government, Congress, as they would like to call it. However, something was off from the start. The people were not allowed to spectate, hear what was discussed, nor were they allowed to vote. Anybody that wasn't part of Congress that was inside or near the perimeter were hopelessly slaughtered. I was one of them. Being resurrected shortly after, I have memories from my past and now only have one goal in mind: to overthrow or hinder the government. This is my story of how I worked from the ground up to deforest an entire nation. Also, if you like this video, consider subscribing. It's free and shows support for me and the other creators. Shortly after being resurrected, I grabbed my stuff and immediately ran. I retreated into a cave which will promptly become my base of operations from that point forward. If I wanted to overthrow the government in some way, I needed to think of an approach method. I don't want to stand for this dictatorship of a government if all they're gonna do is slaughter people aimlessly. So here's my plan. I'm gonna exhaust the land of its resources with a netherite axe, and I'm gonna chop down every single tree there is, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because when there's no trees in the world, what are you gonna do for resources? You can't do anything. And with that, my method approach was established. I also have set some internal instructions. Get enough resources to last a long time. Don't resurface or communicate unless absolutely necessary. Now begins the tedious mining process. 10 minutes after I set my original plan in motion, I discovered a vein of diamonds, which is what I need for tools. Afterwards, I dug more to find enough iron to craft an anvil. I went up to my utility benches to craft a diamond pick and a bucket for water. Grabbing some surface water, I went back into my cave and found a lava pool through echolocation with my supersonic cyborg hearing. I now have enough obsidian to create an enchanting table and another portal. In order to be more secretive, I needed to smelt stone to seal the entrance that led to my cave. That way, nobody will find out where I lived for a while, and my base will be hidden. Sayonara. Surface. I don't need to be smelting stone anymore, but patching up old spots would be pretty good. I don't need anybody finding out about my location right now. Here's another one of those things that I'm gonna be doing. More lapis already. We should be good on resources for the enchantment table now. I think this operation is coming along very nicely though. With the amount of stone I gather, I'm going to be smelting them to stone just to get as much XP as possible. That way I have enough resources to truly build a netherite axe. The sooner I can chop down trees, the better. The sooner I take, nobody will be able to find out. So basically, I'm making a bunch of iron and then I'm going to smelt a bunch of stone. I'm all for tonight. We'll have another meeting tomorrow to discuss how we're going to elect a president. Also, we have decided no audience for the time being after the incident. What incident? The incident after the corruption. So basically, here's how I'm gonna do this. This is the chest and furnace room. These furnaces down here are gonna be replaced with the said anvil and the enchantment table. This furnace is gonna become the crafting table. I still need to have enchantment, so we're gonna go around town and barter for certain valuables. I'm just gonna only have an iron axe, and that's about it. My next plan was to go back into town and barter for a fortune pickaxe. This would greatly accelerate the resource gathering process. Holding 12 diamonds in my inventory should be more than enough to afford it, though I was afraid of walking back into town after I was killed the first time. Despite that experience, I try to look past that. Hi.
Yeah, you got any wood?
I don't have any wood, but I came to barter if you have anything. So I'm looking for a Fortune 2 pickaxe, and I'm wondering if you have it on your possession.
No, I don't, sorry.
Okay.
I don't think any of us have it, actually.
Oh. After hearing that disappointing news and negotiating for 30 minutes, leading nowhere, I overheard an interesting conversation.
You do look like an officer that's just fed up with all this shit. So when do we get taxed?
I was thinking about that. I'm gonna text the shit out of you.
I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. I also don't like the fucking piece of
I decided to head back to my cave to grind levels for myself. I headed back to the enchantment tables to get the optimal pickaxes that I needed. Oh my goodness, Silk Touch. Mother. Oh, come on. Oh, sweet, okay. After that, I created another portal to go into the nether and mine ancient debris. 30 minutes later, I went back and smelted whatever ancient debris that I had in my inventory, giving a grand total of 10. All that was left now was to grind levels, enchant my diamond axe, and reinforce it with netherite. Now that I have enchanted everything, it was time to execute my main plan. Deforesting the nation. I started cutting down the big trees first since they take up too much time. People won't notice when a few trees from the forest go missing either since there's an influx of trees. Next, I made an internal map of what areas to chop down first, what route to take, and where I'm storing the wood. I found out when there's not many people on. All that's left to do is to wait until 3 AM, the best time to strike. 3 AM hit, and I first began deforesting the region southwest of my cave. With a grand total of 6 players online, I shouldn't be found. I already knew this wouldn't be an easy task to do. Time consuming, and the undead don't care about anything you're doing. Regardless, I continued chopping down the trees throughout the days and nights. Pretty soon, I was finished with the first area. Next, I move on to the dense forest toward the east. Halfway through chopping down this area's forest, I realized I needed to craft the second axe, so I started working on that on the side, gathering levels needed to enchant. After my first axe broke, I moved on to my second axe, finishing up whatever remained of the forest. The deforestation process is going quite smoothly. Results of an ever-collapsing nation. I find it very dangerous to chop down trees near the city because I risk being found out, and if somebody finds out, they can use the evidence that they have against me and report me to the government, and then where I would be probably executed. And execution doesn't seem like the best thing that I want to have. I noticed I was struggling a lot with the leaves, which led me to craft shears to get to the root faster, which greatly accelerated the deforestation process. Why is there a brown sheep and a pink sheep right beside each other? That's pretty rare. After chopping down the region of the forest toward the east, I moved to the west, only to realize there wasn't any trees there. So I moved north, transforming to what was a forest into a plains biome. Pretty soon I realized I was almost done deforesting the northern region. Now that the area surrounding the nation has been transformed into a plains biome by yours truly, there were only a couple of trees left, and that was in the town. Unfortunately, someone has planted a super tree in the heart of town, where everybody can see, and I immediately knew what I had to do. Let thy name be known. Okay.
Inside of me is the enemy. The fear is blinding, I cannot see. I ran away, I should have stayed. So much left that I have to say. I'm wound up about to spring, stressing about everything. Bottling love and trapping hate. Gotta let it out for what I create. Living all the notes. Moving toward what I live on. Let's on all our roads. Let's live fighting in this war. Now I'm done with the past. The ups and downs flying from us. Everything follow me, you might be looking at me. With civilized.
The super tree that was grown in the heart of town has been chopped down from the top to the ground. I begun chopping down the rest of the trees that was nearby.
I've been labeled, but more than able. I'm not just some old fable. Don't count me dead when you haven't read the things that I have done and said. I'm reaching out my end to say you understand that I'm more than a sideshow. This power of the sea, living all the notes. Moving toward what I live on. Let's on all our roads. Let's live fighting in this war. Now I'm done with the past. The ups and
After chopping down the rest of the trees, the only thing left to do was to run from the scene of the crime. Thankfully, that would be more than a breeze. Knowing that there's no more trees, my ultimate plan is complete. All that was left to do now was to pin the blame on someone else.